Yo guys, I've got a spark which I'm going to use to ignite the fire for a brand new episode of Skylanders Vlogging here on the channel. Now the keyword there is vlogging because vlogging is basically what this episode in its entirety is dedicated to. But with that being said, I'm going to York for a film festival, and naturally I'm not going to be filming any of the films themselves because that would be copyright infringement. And I'm also going as part of a university trip, so I'm going to have a bunch of university students and university mates with me. So therefore the priority isn't really going to be filming people as much as it is filming landscapes and all that. So the footage I've captured from York already, because this was in the past, I'm doing this intro after all of that has been filmed. But with that being said, all of the footage I've gathered is stuff like establishing shots and location shots, so I have plenty to post-commentate, which we're going to get into later. Unfortunately, it isn't live commentary. I just didn't have the kind of tools, and it wasn't the right situation in which to make the jokes live, so to say. And with that being said, we're going to roll the intro, and before we head out to York, we're of course going to check out CEX here at Lincoln, so let's get to it. Wasting no time, zooming straight in right here, we have Kaboom, several undead characters like Grim Creeper, Funny Bone, Crypt King even, and, you know, just amazing Trapmasters in general, including that of Gusto, Gear Shift, characters you don't see regularly. You've even got Legendary Slam Bam, Glow in the Dark Cinder for our variant fix, Swarm trying to hide back here amongst Starlink and, well, Star-Lord himself, hiding amongst the stars, you could say. There's Enchanted Hoot Loop, Frino, this is absolutely crazy, loving this right now. So this is where we begin our York adventure, and already from this establishment shot we have plenty of beauty and things to explore, such as that bridge over for water and for excessive greenery around here. Very gorgeous indeed. So this is the view we have from atop that bridge, with plenty of greenery and of course the orange leaves fallen from autumn. That's definitely not going to date this video whatsoever, but as you can tell there are split paths for us to explore further. Yeah, this black and golden gate seems to be leading to nowhere. That being said, we have this beautiful road to walk along to reach our first few destinations. As always, we have this Dutch tilt for added effect, and it seems as though my university mates are walking ahead of me, so I better catch them up. But I'm just taking a moment to truly absorb all of this beauty, for birds flying by, for clock tower distance. York truly is a gorgeous place. So right here we seem to have a very traditional cobblestone alleyway going between those buildings where you can find yet again more shops. What else were we expecting? It's York, for Pete's sake. Continuing to head towards the city centre as I speak, you can tell from just how crowded things are. Ooh, Clark. And also this incredible artwork back here. I'm loving all these colours, very vibrant and bright. So now we've reached this really interesting corner building, which is a Starbucks of all things. There's also vans travelling by, so caution is advised. Believe it or not, this building at the end of the alleyway here is a theatre of all things, so naturally a lot of the films from our festival will be showcased here. Then round the back here, what we have is for Revolution as well as dumpsters, because you gotta have some place to put your rubbish now, right? This bird seems desperate to escape the left of the frame right now. That being said, we're heading down more very traditional looking streets with your floor patterns and cobblestone. Just everything I've come to love about the UK is visualised here, and it's wonderful. Take the most glorious place in the UK and double it, and what you have is this right now. Not only a CEX, but a game too, and they're literally side by side. It's absolute gloriousness incarnate right now. So inside the CEX, they seem to have a really expensive copy of Skylanders Swap Force on the PlayStation 4, and then moving to the right here, we can check out the Sensei collection. I love to see so many Senseis all in one place. It's a very glorious selection indeed. You got several Type 1 Crows, Dr. Crankcase, even Crash Bandicoot, one of which his colour is significantly faded, and then there's Jingle Bells Chompy Mage in the back. And speaking of things in the back, they even have a Xbox 360 starter pack of all things. And one interesting thing about the Xbox 360 starter pack that I didn't notice beforehand is that for some reason they have Dark Snapshot in it rather than the regular one. So this right here is a street we can see between the CX and the game, and once again it's all cobblestone based. York is a very traditional town aesthetically, but inside the game they actually have a gaming arena of all things, a B-long gaming arena, so that's really cool. Goes to show that this is one of the game's bigger stores across the country. Here we have a very green cafe, as well as a very crowded street heading towards the cathedral. Speaking of the cathedral, it's just barely peeping through this alleyway right now, and boy am I looking forward to seeing that up close and personal. Already you can tell the sheer amount of detail that must have went into creating such a magnificent piece of infrastructure. So here we have ourselves a pole, but as we literally pull our focus, we can see in the background some construction work being done on that there building. So what I'm about to present you with right here is a bit of the pan, so that then you can see not only Jackson stops, but the rest of this area in its glory. You have, of course, bicycle stops, and then we cut straight to where the cathedral can be seen, a little charitable event in front of it, and just naturally the place looks gorgeous. We get to see once again all of that detail from before put into the infrastructure. At long last, I was hoping to get this cathedral up close and personal, but this tree seems to be blocking the grand majority of it. It doesn't take away from just how magnificent the thing is. I truly admire the attention to detail put into both that and this little here map replicating York itself right in front of you. There's even braille for the blind to be able to read the information upon it. Now we get the privilege of heading back the way from which we came. Given the reflection, it's really hard to tell what all this artwork is right now, but it's black and white photos would turn out and it looks awesome. But even more awesome than that is actual colour being placed about by this street right now. We even get the golden leaves along here, once again an icon of autumn, I suppose, which is really going to date this video, never mind, especially when we have these massive pillars right now, a true feat of architecture of that right there, as well as just a really clear and gorgeous looking blue sky. We're continuing to head towards the location of our first batch of films for the festival, and it's taken us down some back streets, it would seem. Right here we seem to have some York University accommodation under construction. You can tell once I zoom in on Discover Hungate what it's going to look like when it's all finished, and York University is pretty huge for film studies, so naturally it would have been cool to study here also, but I'm glad I made the choice to stick with Lincoln. So this one take is going to take us through this very colourful Mopsy sign right now, as well as just loads of glass buildings, very heavy on the reflections, but that helps with its beauty, I suppose, there's no denying that. So now we seem to be heading over a bridge, some gorgeous ripples in the river down there as we walk right along the top of it, not the river itself, but the bridge going over it, obviously. Now the ripples were created by them ducks right there. We have some greenery, but like everything in York, the infrastructure of this bridge is really interesting. It's very well built, and then on the other side we seem to have your usual alleyways. We certainly seem to have reached a more industrial area of York, but there are loads of gorgeous houses around here. I mean, who wouldn't want to live in such a nice area? And so here would be where we watched our first batch of films. It was kind of bizarre having a massive projector for short film viewing inside of a church of all things, but it was a nice wide open space and it echoed amongst the walls quite nicely, so definitely an appropriate setup for it all the same. With those first few short films out of the way, we now have an hour to wait till the next short film showcase, so naturally we're heading towards the city centre to pick up a Nando's. So right now it seems as though I'm focusing on nothing, which is kind of true because all this is for brickwork from the bridge. So let's change things up and pull our focus to the greenery in the background, and then as I pull my camera out to show you an entirely new perspective brought about from the shadows by these fellow pedestrians. Regardless, what we have here now is revealing that the greenery came from the garden of an old church-style building, as well as more golden leaves to crunch under my feet as we move along. And hey, what do you know, this building has Piccadilly on the side of it. That reminds me of the old Monopoly Square one that's won me games before, so naturally a fine reminder of that, as well as a fine reminder that York has loads of old school buildings around. That spire looks magnificent. What's interesting is that this is going to be my first ever Nando's, and speaking of that, this is actually for window or for view outside of said window based on our current table situation. The table itself, quite nice patterns, good woodwork, so nothing to complain about here. Hopefully the food is delicious though, because as I said earlier, my first Nando's and everything. So directly after Nando's we had another batch of films to worry about, and so naturally this is several hours later and the sky is as clear as it was earlier, though it's much darker now. So much for the clear skies, but that gave me the opportunity to capture this magnificent shot right here, so I have no problem with that whatsoever. It just continues to get darker here, so I've filmed less and less throughout the night as we've been focusing highly on the films from our short film festival, and when the darkness around York reaches this here level, this is what we have to show for it. As I walk through this here car park, this is the last you'll see of York. It's gotten dark, it's well past 11 o'clock at night, and we still have a 2-hour round trip to go to get back to the university, mind you, but it has been a blast. You can even see the bus from which we're going to be travelling on in the distance, and all of this greenery looks very different with the lack of natural light, but still, it's been a blast all the same. Cannot emphasize this enough. As you can tell, I'm back here and it's time to end today's vlogging episode. I sure hope you guys enjoyed this different style, as again, I pretty much post-commentated everything because with York I just prioritised establishing shots and location shots rather than worrying about my university mates, as well as taking the pressure off my shoulders to need to film all the time. I just filmed what I could, I filmed what was comfortable, and I feel like it worked out, but let me know if you agree in the comment section below. Now, with that all being said and done, this video is coming to an end, but before that happens, I first want to thank all my Blazing Knights and Scorpion Dragons whose support allow me to continue pumping out quality videos like this one. Without them, this all wouldn't be possible. Therefore, I genuinely appreciate every last one of you from the bottom of my heart. If you enjoyed this video, I have others you can watch by clicking on screen now.